Notebook, the latest on what we know about the UVA basketball coach search. Chris Graham here, Augusta Free Press. Yeah, this is Thursday. We didn't have a game today. The season ended yesterday. Didn't get to play Duke. As it turns out, that game could have been interesting if you. I actually wasn't watching the game myself, but I saw the final score. Duke beat Georgia Tech by 8, where they were down at halftime. Not because Cooper Flag got injured. When he went out, they were actually down 12 already. But Cooper Flag injured, only had 2 points, 1 of 7 shooting in 15 minutes, and looks like it could be serious. It's early. It's 4 o'clock on Thursdays. I'm reporting this, but there is speculation that this could be at least, I mean, ACC tournament length injury, and maybe even impact the NCAA tournament. So that's what happens. I mean, for all the people who are watching this right now, UVA fans who like to say, Tony Bennett, couldn't win big games except for that one year. Think about DeAndre Hunter got hurt before the 2018 NCAA tournament. That's probably still no excuse to lose to UMBC by 20 points in the first round. But I mean, you lose a significant guy who is next year's number 4 pick uh, out of your rotation. That's an issue. Who else? Certainly in 2023, again, I mean, Ben Vanderplas was an important guy for that 2023 team that won a share of the ACC regular season. I stumbled upon a column that I wrote uh, about previewing that UVA Furman game in 2023, writing about how, I mean, the headline was UVA could use Vanderplas against small ball Furman and proved to be prescient. Injuries at this time of year in a one and done situation. The NBA playoffs is best of 7. You can maybe get guys back at the end of a playoff series or something like that. In a one and done situation, not having a key guy can make you vulnerable. We'll see. But yeah, UVA situation was resolved yesterday. Ron Sanchez, after the 66-60 loss, Virginia rallied to make it interesting late after being down 13 with 3 minutes to go. But Virginia lost the game. Not long after, Sanchez was informed. In fact, okay, so the timestamp on the email that I got and that the other media members got was 5:00 p.m. ET on the dot. Makes it feel like it was preset to be going out at 5 o'clock. Could it be just coincidence? And it probably is. Um, Team AFP Scott German noted to me that I sent him the email, forwarded him the email to say, hey, it's official. Sanchez is gone, and Scott, being Scott, pulled up his flight tracking app because he's one of those guys. He'll be probably checking the flight tracking for potential coach interviews if there are any coming anytime soon uh, in the next few days. But he noted that the FlightAware app had said that at 5 o'clock, the UVA team plane was actually just inside the Virginia border. They had gotten over the Virginia-Carolina border, so they were at least Sanchez was in the state of Virginia when the news came out. But I mean, we then learned later that he got on the plane knowing he probably went to his press conference after the game knowing the press conference for him was delayed a few minutes after a meeting with officials, let's just say. I know the identity of the officials, but we presume Carla Williams was in the room. I don't think that any of the people that were my spies down there saw Carla walk in the room, but they saw others walk in with Sanchez, saw Sanchez walk out with a different demeanor. He knew he was no longer the coach. Um, as I was writing my story, because the timing of things is interesting, the game ended at 2:15-ish. I'm covering from the home office. Didn't make the trip to Charlotte because I presumed, well, if not a loss in the first game, certainly a loss in the second game. And the story of UVA basketball, I've been saying for months this year, is not the season, but who the next coach is. I'm just as equipped, maybe better equipped to do that from the home office as I would be on the road trying to figure out where everything is logistically. Um, so I get the transcript, I read the transcript, and I could tell even before. So because I had to write the story. I had a 5:30. I was going to be on the Who's Talking show with Frank Maloney and Jim Hobgood at 5:30 out of Richmond, and do the last half hour there. So I had between 3-ish and 5:30 to write the story about this game. And so I had to figure out real quick what's the angle going to be on the story. I don't like just writing game recaps. You can if you've watched the game, you don't need me to recap it for you. And became pretty clear pretty quickly reading through that transcript a few times. Ron knows he's not coming back. Ron has been told he's not coming back. And so I went with that angle. And then literally at 5:00 p.m. ET, when the email comes in, I had the story on the page on the website, hadn't clicked publish yet. All I had to do was graft in the quote from Carla Williams saying it's official. Uh, and but there was an answer in there. This is the one that made me really think. I read it several times before I started writing the story. He was asked if he'd had the opportunity to sit with Carla and her advisors to make his case to present his vision for UVA basketball. And this was his answer. I believe I've had 4 months to do that. I think Carla and her advisors gave me the opportunity to interview every day, and my job is now done. My interview is over. Whatever they decide will be best for the University of Virginia, and Ron is going to be very supportive of whatever Carla and her advisors decide. He knew already at that point what had happened. So, I mean, wish him the best. This was not an easy situation, and in some ways not fair, but he did get that opportunity. He did get a year, a season, 5 months to make his case, and it just didn't work out. And so, I mean, I wrote this last spring. That I probably wrote it 2 summers ago. That when he came back from Charlotte after his 5 year stint at Charlotte, and he'd won 22 games in his last season at Charlotte, he came back, took a pay cut to be an assistant coach at UVA. It felt like he was, uh, you know, the coach in waiting. Um, I don't think anybody would have thought that it would be 1 year and then he's going to be the interim coach, but it happened, and he took that 5 year stint at Charlotte to be the head coach, to be the head guy, to get some experience there. Um, and it just didn't work out. So sometimes that happens, and it certainly happened in this way. A question came up from a few readers. I mean, boy, I'm in a great way. I'm getting flooded with emails from people because we're all like, "What's going to happen next?" I'm with you there. Don't worry about it. So feel free to drop the emails. But one question that came up quite a bit was how the quick dismissal might play. I mean, so effectively, you told the guy before he goes in his interview after the game. I mean, so between walking off the court and talking to the team and then, after you talk to the team, you walk down the hall and you're pulled into a room and you're told you're not going to be the coach anymore. Um, how could that play? Concern, and in fact, one member of the search committee got word to us that he was concerned that this might backfire. The general sentiment is it's unlikely we're going to be able to announce the next coach until at least next week, and probably, I mean, four of the five coaches who were finalists, at least on the final list of the search committee, which has done its work, presented its work to Wally Walker, the deputy AD, guy that should be the GM for the basketball program. Wally's going to present, his final list out of that list, his ranking, I guess, of that list to Carla Williams. Carla still, Wally will have his list, his ranking. Carla will probably look at that list and have her own ranking. Can't assume she won't. Um, but anyway, four of the five guys on the list are going to be in the NCAA tournament. Um, so did it do you good to push him aside right away? Would there have been a benefit to waiting a day, waiting until next week? Have weighed in. I wrote a column on this morning. The flip side to me would be waiting a day or two, or even waiting until the end of the process. Until you announce the coach, leaving him in limbo all that time would maybe signal to the pool of candidates that Williams is wavering on what to do. And I think that could be a danger as well. To me, I like the clean break. It also signals clearly to that group that Sanchez is not only not going to be the coach, he's not a fallback coach. One thing I've written about a lot in this search process is about the 1990 post Terry Holland search process and how There were several big name candidates, 1990 era big name candidates. One of them, Rick Barnes, is still coaching and winning a lot at Tennessee. He's a top 10, top five coach, and they're running for a number one seed this year. In 1990, he was our choice. He was at Providence. He was the guy that agreed to take the job and then changed his mind at the last second. Mike Montgomery, who was at Stanford, was on that list. Pete Gillen, who ends up getting the job several years later. At that time, he was at Xavier. He was on the list. Uh, and Virginia didn't get any of the guys on their list, and he ended up falling back to one of the assistant coaches, Jeff Jones, which worked out for a few years and then ultimately didn't work out. And then he was replaced by Gillen, which didn't work out. Gillen was replaced by Dave Leto, which didn't work out. Led us to a guy named Tony Bennett, who had all of 3 years of head coaching experience. His last team at Washington State was 17 and 16. It's not like he was coming off of a hot streak there. And then a couple of losing seasons in Charlottesville. His year three team goes to the NCAA tournament, gets blown out. Year four doesn't even make the NCAA tournament. And then rest is history. After that, it was 6 ACC titles in 11 years, one national title, and Elite Eight. Okay, it all worked out. But yeah, the fall, Sanchez is not. It's not. They're not going to fall back to Sanchez. You don't make the announcement they made yesterday and then fall back to anybody on the staff. Clean break. It's outsider. I happen to think that I don't know who the coach is. I think a lot of us think we know who the coach is, but I don't. But I think Carla Williams and Wally Walker know who the coach is. Um, and that's why they made the move yesterday. So the latest regarding Ryan Odum, this is a person that a lot of us think, I'll say us, and I'm half-minded on this, but a lot of folks think is the guy. Our spies down in Charlotte said there was a lot of talk behind the scenes. Again, I wasn't at the ACC tournament this year. Just a lot of whispers, and the whispers. I mean, this is media folks whispering, so this whole process, this whole journalism part of this process has been weird to me. Um, because I feel very uncomfortable being the only guy doing any heavy lifting on this reporting. I wish there were others out there, and I wish they were saying different things than I'm saying. It seems, yes, I like being the leader in the clubhouse, but I'm not. Why? Like Virginia's a big job. Won a national championship 6 years ago. I can't believe that the only reporting we're getting from the national outlets is speculation on some names. They're not. Nobody's like digging into this. The Virginia media base not really digging into this. Just speculation on names. Jerry Ratcliffe joined in late. He's got similar sources as I've got, but from me, I wrote my first story on this December 28th, and like no one else is playing the game with me here. I don't like that. I wish there were other people playing the game, but anyway. So I say that to say when our spies in Charlotte say there's a lot of talk about the Ryan Odom thing and how there may be other people at play, the spies are talking to other media people, and none of them are doing any heavy lifting. It's just they're all speculating. So, all right, so I have to lay that out there. The idea is that NC State may be making a play for Ryan Odom, and I wouldn't doubt that. Ryan Odom's a great candidate. He's not gonna be at VCU next year. He's done a great job in 2 years there, and he's gonna be a candidate for the UVA job. I mean, he is a candidate for the UVA job. He would be if something happens, UVA doesn't want him. He would be a great candidate for NC State. I assume the Villanova job's coming open, and if he would be a great candidate for that job. Uh, I don't know about Indiana, but I mean, Ryan Odom is probably in a great position right now. If he wants whatever job he wants, he's probably one of the top one or two candidates for that job. Uh, the issue at State, which fired Kevin Keats kind of surprisingly on Sunday of this past week, is the possible tie, and I don't know if there is a tie, because I can't speak to their personal relationship or not, but Ryan Odom is the son of Dave Odom, who was an assistant coach at UVA, the top assistant coach at UVA under Terry Holland from 1982 to 1989. And then the athletics director at NC State's a guy named Boo Corrigan, whose father, Gene Corrigan, was a former athletics director at UVA. So, there's a presumption that, hey, well, one guy UVA, his dad worked at UVA, another guy, his dad worked at UVA. They might probably know each other well. That's the presumption. I don't know. You may know better than me, but there is that presumption out there that these two guys, maybe know each other personally, um, and that could be a factor. If you're thinking if you're a candidate for a job, I can work with an athletics director who's my boss, even though I'm making more money than him, but he's my boss, and I know him personally, and that could be a help, make it harder for him to fire you. If you know each other and you're eating dinner with each other and playing golf with each other and you're chums, he might not pull the trigger so quick. So, the two jobs vis-a-vis each other, UVA is going to be able to offer more money. Kevin Keats was making 2.7 million a year until he got the raise after going to the Final Four. He made 3.1 million this year. Tony Bennett was making 4.1 million. Virginia is going to easily be able to outpace whatever NC State offers. Virginia has a much bigger ability to do NIL than NC State. There's no question about that. And it's going to be boosted even after that going into the upcoming portal season. The one disadvantage we got versus NC State is our admissions office versus their admissions office. What I say here is if, and I'm kind of speaking more to the people who are doubting because, again, Carla Williams, I, I'm sure already knows who her person is. It may be Ryan Odom. So I'm not speaking to the candidates here. I'm speaking to the people who are doubting things here. But if a guy decides the easier admissions makes for the better situation at a lower salary, lower NIL budget, and because he knows the guy, maybe from childhood, um, if he decides that's what I want and I'll take that job over UVA, then great. I don't want that guy. I want a guy who thinks the UVA job is the best job in America because I think it is the best job in America. So, um, don't fret, my pet. I think I'm quoting Urkel there as we finish up the show. Hey, if you got any questions, if you want to just vent, if you have any insight, whatever you got, you just want to say hi, drop me a line, please. Feel free. I'm never too busy. I mean, anybody who's ever emailed me knows, positive or negative, I'll email you back because I just think it's great. I think it's great that people care what I think. So, anyway, drop me a line, Chris at AugustaFreePress.com.